Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Rising. Saagar, what are we doing today?
We have an amazing show for everybody. We have Jimmy Dore, a comedian and YouTuber, to talk a little bit about the 2020 primary. We got an Israeli journalist who's coming to us to talk about the Israeli election, some new developments over there, some exclusive Yang Gang fundraising numbers, which we'll reveal to you a little bit later in the show, and a new ad from Senator Bernie Sanders. So all that coming up today on Rising.
All right, Saagar, what are you looking at?
Well, Crystal and I have been telling you for a while that the media is all in the tank for Elizabeth Warren. But CNN, as usual, outdid itself in this regard. The network somehow was able to sit down with Warren and her husband in their home and not make a scrap of useful news. They asked hard-hitting questions like how the couple met in 1979 and who ended up proposing to whom. I swear I'm not joking. Take a listen.
I'd watched him teach a class, which I'd never done before. So I'm sitting in the back of the room while he's teaching, and when the class is all, he's taught a really good class, and students, lots of interaction, students ask some questions afterwards, they all leave. And he walks back in this big, empty classroom. He looks down at me and he says, "Well, what did you think?" And I said, "Great, will you marry me?" And he said,
Yes.
"Yes," and that was it.
The closest they got to asking anything of any real substance, as Tommy Christopher, a Mediaite, pointed out, is when they asked Warren's husband, quote, if she does become the nominee, she will go up against President Trump. Are you ready for that? That is literally it. In case you were wondering, when they asked about Warren's past, and they at least did their journalistic duty there, just kidding. They instead asked how Warren's husband reconciled himself with his wife's Republican past. Not a single question from CNN about Warren's Native American heritage claims, not a single question about her policy stances, not a single question or follow-up question on whether she actually believes in Medicare for all, not a single question on whether she'll commit to taking big money when she's not a Democratic nominee for president. The best part of this interview is that this is exactly the type of network and people who sneer at us for asking Tulsi Gabbard whether Warren is ready to be commander-in-chief and accuse us of lazy interviewing. In our 20-minute segment with Gabbard, we asked her about everything from impeachment to tariffs, whether big tech needs to be broken up, a whole lot more. But I digress. I've really struggled with why so many people who I know, and in some cases at least kind of respect on at least a little bit level, are terrible at their jobs when they interview establishment Democrats. And I've really come to understand it's not because they align with them on certain issues, it's because they don't even want the slightest appearance of agreeing with the right or the progressive left wing in their questioning. It's a dangerous time for journalism when asking a basic question for the people that you're supposed to be representing is seen as a political endorsement. The media is scared to ask Elizabeth Warren about her past lying about Native American heritage because Donald Trump likes to call her Pocahontas. Just like with the Hunter Biden case, that doesn't mean it's not a legitimate story. Warren's past lying about her Native American heritage is proof that she is capable of dishonesty, delusion, and attacking those who dare to point it out. The Mediaite story I referenced earlier pointed out that CNN's fluff job wasn't the first time that Bruce and Liz have sat down. In fact, in 2012, an actual enterprising journalist asked the couple if they had any pictures that proved Warren's Native American heritage lying around. Since they were in her house, after all, she snapped back, "I have plenty of pictures, but they're not for you." Over and over again, journalists and media personalities unmask Elizabeth Warren when she's asked about this issue and anything else that might be a little politically sensitive. Remember when she literally froze like a robot after Charlemagne the God asked her when she actually learned the truth about her heritage on The Breakfast Club some months back? Or this incredible exchange from last week when a Washington Post journalist asked her if her own vice president's child would be allowed to serve on a foreign energy company's board. Let's take a listen.
For two ethics plans, could you say whether or not under a Warren administration would your vice president's child be allowed to serve on a board of a foreign company?
No.
Why
I don't.
not?
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to go back and look at the details on
Do you
the
think
plan.
there could be a problem with that?
I have to go back and look.
Wow. Because the media and the establishment has been coalescing around her, they truly don't understand how vulnerable that she is in an actual critical interview. Just add Donald Trump to the mix on a debate stage, and we'll see how fast that she begins melting down. For now, we'll actually have to hold out hope that the media actually does a job. I'm not particularly optimistic. And I mean that interview, I couldn't believe it, honestly. But I mean, it was on my radar. I was like, oh, it's kind of like weird that she proposed to her husband, but I like moved past it.
Yeah.
And then Tommy highlighted just how terrible the entire thing was. And I couldn't. I mean, imagine sitting down with the front runner for the Democratic nominee and asking these types of questions, and then putting that on your network.
Right. Well, and Democrats rightly make fun of like Sean Hannity when he sits down with the president and just loves softball questions, right? But then this will get very little scrutiny.
And honestly, I think those are more substantive than this one.
And I think there are 3 real reasons why they won't go after her. I mean, number one is they're basically in the tank for her. Like white liberal, affluent white liberals have coalesced around her. That's the media. That's who they're after. Number 2, they want access, right?
Exactly.
If they ask her a tough question, she may not come back and sit down with them.
Yeah.
And she could be the nominee. She could be the president. They want to maintain that access. And then number 3, which we've seen very much personally, if you're even slightly adversarial or critical of Elizabeth Warren on like policy or substance, people freak out.
Yeah.
They totally lose their minds over it.
I've never seen anything like it. I've seen some people criticizing me online. Be like, what has Saagar ever done that he's allowed to criticize Elizabeth Warren? I'm like, well, I'm not running for president, people.
We're just trying to do our job here, folks.
Okay.
There's a primary going on, and there's differences that we should talk about. That's what we're trying to do here.